And another reason I'm happy to live in this period is that we've been forced to a point where we're going to have to grapple with the problems that men have been trying to grapple with through history. But the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival demands that we grapple with them now. Men for years now have been talking about war and peace, but now no longer can we just talk about it. There is no longer a choice between violence and nonviolence in this world. It's nonviolence or non-existence. That is where we are today. And also in the human rights revolution. If something isn't done, and done in a hurry, to bring the colored peoples of the world out of their long years of poverty, their long years of hurt and neglect, the whole world is doomed. Now, I'm just happy that God has allowed me to live in this period, to see what is unfolding. And I'm happy He's allowed me to be in Memphis. I can remember when Negroes were just going around, as Ralph has said, so often scratching where they didn't itch and laughing when they were not tickled. But that day is over. We mean business now. And we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world. And that's all this whole thing is about. We aren't engaged in any negative protest or any negative arguments. We are determined to be people. We are saying that we are God's children and that we don't have to live like we are forced to live. Now, what does all this mean in this great period of history? We've got to stay together and maintain unity. You know, whenever Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery, he had a favorite formula for doing it. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves. But whenever the slaves get together, something happens in Pharaoh's court, and he cannot hold the slaves in slavery. When the slaves get together, that's the beginning of getting out of slavery. Secondly, let us keep the issues where they are. The issue is injustice. The issue is the refusal of Memphis to be fair and honest with its dealings with its public servants, who happen to be sanitation workers. Now, we've got to keep attention on that. That's always the problem, with a little violence. You know what happened the other day? And the press dealt only with the window breaking. They very seldom got around to mentioning the fact that 1,300 sanitation workers were on strike, and that Memphis is not being fair to them. Now we're going to march again. We've got to march again in order to put the issue where it's supposed to be. For when people get caught up with that which is right and they are willing to sacrifice for it, there is no stopping point short of victory. We aren't going to let our enemies stop us. We are masters in the nonviolent movement in disarming police forces. They don't know what to do. I've seen them so often. I remember in Birmingham, Alabama, where we were in the majestic struggle there. We would move out on 16th Street Baptist Church day after day by the hundreds. And Bull Connor would tell them to send the dogs forth, and they did come. But we just went before the dogs singing, "Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around." And Bull Connor next would say, "Turn the fire hoses on." And as I said to you the other night, Bull Connor didn't know history. He knew a kind of physics, but somehow didn't relate to the transphysics that we knew about. And that was the fact that there is a certain kind of fire that no water can put out. That couldn't stop us. And we just went out before the dogs, and we would look at them, and we'd go out before the water hoses, and we would look at it, and we would just go on singing. Over my head, I see freedom in the air. And then we would be thrown in the paddy wagons, and sometimes we were stacked in those wagons like sardines in a can. We would just go into the paddy wagon singing, "We shall overcome." Then we'd get in jail, and we'd see the jailers looking through the windows, being moved by our prayers, and being moved by our words and our songs. And there was a power there that Bull Connor could not adjust to. And we won our struggle in Birmingham.